We got owners and leaders who want to be the hero, Superman, Batman. They want to wear all the hats. They want to wear all the capes. They're bad at delegating. They think they got to do it all because they can do it better than everybody. They've hired all these people, but they're always dipping in somebody else's coffee, always in somebody else's business.
Started from the hustle, now we playing it smart. Put the system in position, took the grind out the heart. Got a team on a vision, every role playing part. Ain't no job, it's a business, that's the real boss art. We the 2Exit Podcast.
Welcome, viewers. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell, and welcome to Freedom to Exit. I'm joined here with my consultant partners in crime for Exit Factor North. Our office, to my left, Nadia Adelaide. To my closer left is Floyd Williams, consultant. To my far right is Maurice Grant, and there's a story why we're all suited and booted and Maurice is not. You know, it's amazing to me for a young man from Philadelphia who's used to this cold weather, and today in Atlanta we got our first really cold day, and his pipes froze and burst.
That shows something about y'all in Atlanta. I'm just saying.
Oh, we didn't build a house.
I didn't build a house either.
You know what, you might have a point there, young fella. So next time, maybe get a consultant like myself or Josiah, and then we can help you with that. And then, last but not least, to my right is Josiah Wiley.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? That's right. I'm glad to be here, man. This is awesome. Hey, we changed the location. We were in a room that had mirrors, and then we moved to another room that didn't have mirrors. But look, we got mirrors on the sides again. Let's check that out.
We got views.
And the views. So I think I'll take the view over the conference room any day.
And guys, when we talked about this show, and the name of this show today is The Scalability Trap, Why Growth Without Structure Kills Value. And when we sat down and we started talking about this, it just kind of hit me. Most people, most entrepreneurs think if their business is growing, then they're headed in the right direction. And this topic just blew me away because when you think about it, the illusion of success is that as a business, you want to grow. That's why you're in business, to grow, to make money, to do those things. But there are things that you can do if you grow too fast, if you're not growing the right way. It can hamper your business. It could be the death of your business. And so, guys, this is something I think that most entrepreneurs never really think about. Because when you're starting your business, you're about growth, you're about making money, you're about making that payroll, you're about growing, you're about all those things. But I've never heard this, Josiah, from the standpoint why growth without structure can kill your business. I just want to go around the room a little bit, and Josiah, I want to start with you. Why you chose this topic, and why it's so important for business owners to understand, the profitability of your business is all about growth, but it's also how you grow.
You know, if you look at a company that has grown substantially, and a lot of times when you have exponential growth in a company, you may not be ready for it, right? There's sometimes the business can come, and it can come really fast. And if you've not put the infrastructure in place or the structure in place to support that exponential immediate growth, it can lead to a lot of different challenges, some problems, and even cause you to be in a difficult situation where you might have to start turning business away. Or even worse, I think, Maurice, you were in a situation where you had to just shut it down because you didn't have the structure in place, right, to be able to scale whenever you had customer demand. So the reason why I wanted to bring this topic to the table, a couple of different reasons, Coach. And Floyd, you brought it up the other day.
I did.
And it was about artificial intelligence and the massive changes going on to our economy, into our businesses, and that disruptiveness and what it's doing to all of us in every market that we're in. What does that mean for your structure? And what does that mean when you have exponential growth, when you have disruptive technology changes taking place at the same time? And you know, Coach, you're actually in the middle of it right now. You've got a business right now that you are like right in the middle of AI. And we talked to a gentleman yesterday that is building data centers and just building out tremendous data center infrastructures Why?
Need the power.
Because of AI, what's
AI.
happening in our markets and everything that's changing across the boards. So all of that stated, Coach, like if you don't have that infrastructure in place and you have exponential growth, especially with all the disruptive technologies that are advancing right now, it could set you up to be in a difficult spot. And that's what I want to talk about today.
Maurice, I want to ask you this. When you talk about businesses and growing and revenue, I know in the past I've had businesses to where you get excited that, in the health club industry, you have a month where you just sell a lot of memberships, you're bringing on people to sell, and then all of a sudden, end of the month come payroll. And all of a sudden you done added all this stuff and added these people and brought in new equipment and stuff, and all of a sudden, now you got to start going in your pocket. And a lot of business owners do that, have to go in their pocket to meet those things. Talk about, is that a sign right there that you're growing too fast or you're not growing the right way?
Some can look at it as growing. Some can look at it as you're not making no progress whatsoever if you can't actually play your team. So like if you're not paying your employees on a regular and still bringing enough money in your company, like I like to use a profit first model. So you have 5 accounts. 1 is income, 2 is owner's pay, 3 is taxes, 4 is expenses, 5 is operating expenses. Those 5. So like separating each count. So all the money that's coming into the company from the regular income, that should be enough to actually operate your company. But like if you're spending $100, but your operating expenses is $120, now you got to rock into your pockets. It's like, all right, I got to come up with another $20 just to make payroll. Are you really growing? Sure, you're making more money. Next month you're at $200, but then you got to spend $240. Next month you're at $300, then you got to spend $350. So it's like understanding if you're truly operational is important, and growth can be that your numbers are growing, but you're just getting more holes in your bucket. Like it's important to understand that profit is the thing that you want to grow, not that revenue.
Absolutely. Floyd, I want to ask you this, man. When you talk about the illusion of success and you talk about growth, talk about when the system that you have in place, it outpaces your payroll, your people, and your progress. How as a business owner does that happen? Because you're in your business every day, you think you're on top of everything, and all of a sudden you look up and all these things are happening and you kind of lose control of it. How do you kind of wrestle that back? And does this all come back to, and we say this all the time, you prepare to exit your business the day you start your business, the day you think about your business.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I was thinking, while you guys were talking, I was thinking about a client who I work with, and he was really excited about, scaling his business. He talked about it, and I was coaching him, and I'm thinking like, hey, buddy, you're moving kind of fast here. Because every time I looked around, he was hiring more employees, right? He was putting more systems in, and he was getting a lot of POs as a contractor, but he wasn't thinking about how fast the organization, the business was running and going. And then he started having problems because he had scaled up. He had so many employees doing this and doing that, and the POs that were coming in, but the account receivables were not coming in as fast as he thought they were. And then you know what happens, right? You can't make payroll, right? And then you start struggling. And then what's the next thing? Well, you can't make payroll.
So let me ask you a question.
Start going to your own bankroll.
You start downsizing and laying people off.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. When that happens, like when you have that huge influx of potential business on the way. Potential business on the way. How do you properly position yourself to be in a position to grow and scale?
Yeah.
When you're in that situation, just describe it.
I talked about that a little bit in our workshop that we had. There's something I call ergonomic design. Ergonomic design is like, you ever seen a chair and it was ergonomically designed where it only had the things on the chair that were necessary. 2 arms, a place for your 4 legs, something to dress a libido, your back. Nothing fancy, nothing extra. It was just exactly what you need. When we talk about organizational design, and that's what we're talking about, what he should have done, this particular person, he should have done the organizational chart, as I said last time we talked about this, that had the functions that he needed at the time, right? And then he needed to show those functions and the roles that need to be in those functions on the organizational chart, and then put the people in places as needed. I saw him hiring people like, why are you hiring that person? Why are you doing this? Because he was looking at the purchase orders and thinking about the future money and saying, I can afford this, I can afford that. But he wasn't thinking about what he needed right then, all right? And letting the business pace itself. Or he would pace itself based on the business, right? So the business got away from him. Now he's probably I think currently he's probably close to receivership because he went too fast. And the purchase orders didn't come in as fast as he thought, and things start shifting, right? So that could happen. It happens a lot, especially with, I won't say in certain industries. I would say that. You know what I'm talking about? In certain industries, yeah.
Now, I want to ask you this. You look at when people start a business, they go out and get these accounts. And a lot of times, if you're doing government contracts, dealing with the city, you're always paid 30, 60, even 90 days behind. And a lot of business owners, they get so excited when they get these contracts, and then all of a sudden, first of the month come, and there's no money coming in. They realize the state pays 60 to 90 days. Talk about when you start your business and you know you're going after these type of contracts, and it's that delay. How a lot of owners don't have enough capital on hand to float for those 30, 60, 90 days. And I've known a lot of business people have great businesses, have a lot of contracts, but they shut their doors because they can't handle that gap of the 60 to 90 days for them to get paid. And so they can't pay their employees, they can't pay their rent, they can't pay their bills. Talk about making sure that as a business owner, understand that when you go out and get these contracts, you got to factor in that when your money is going to come in and having the structure or enough money to start to where you don't get caught in those type of traps.
Right, yeah. I think I like what Floyd mentioned, where you can't outpace your business, right? Having that forward thinking is important, I feel like, to have a direction where you want your company to go, where you want yourself to go within the business, all that good stuff. But you can't put the carriage before the horse. You have to make sure you do things that align. And then to your point with the government contracts and everything like that, like that's just structure. That's setting up your business in a structured way to make sure like I can properly fund the amount of workload that is coming to me. Like that's just, it should be common knowledge. I don't know, but people get excited. They want to make the money. They're like, yes, we can do this. But they don't look at the books, they don't look at the structure, they don't really do the due diligence to make sure that they can see this through all the way. So I think it's forward thinking, but it's not thinking past what is actually able to be done.
Yeah.
So having that balance.
Sometimes it's an issue of cash flow management and capital allocation. What projects I want to allocate to a certain, how much cash I want to allocate to a certain project. Can I do that? And then we got to balance that concentration issue. I can't put all my dollars in this one project, but because if I don't get paid for 90 days or longer, then what happens to my cash flow? Exactly. So that's a whole different issue.
Guys, I know for myself, when I was in the health club business, and you open your health club and you got all this nice shiny equipment and it smells good and it looks good and everybody come with their nice workout outfit. And I remember the consultant group that we hired, and the first thing he said, all of this that looks great, he said, but the number one area of your business is that back office. Because if you can't collect your money, can't collect your money, you don't have a business.
Accounts receivable.
And so, guys, before we go to another subject, talk about briefly about making sure the back office is that's the heartbeat. That's the life of your business. All that equipment, all those shiny new objects out there, all the things that look bright and attract people to come through the door. But if that back office is not tight, and I did something that was a little different. The way I structured my business, my back office manager did not work directly for my manager of the health club. Now think about that. Because I didn't want, that's my money. I didn't want my manager, I didn't want my back office manager feeling like the manager could put pressure on her to do certain things. And all her conversation, when it came to money, she was the only person I talked to. I didn't talk to the manager about money.
Right.
I didn't talk to the manager about account receivables. You know, I would talk to him about advertising and stuff like that. But when it came to collecting the money, I had one person that I dealt with because I didn't want anybody else in my business feeling like, or making her feel like, that somebody can put pressure on her to do certain things. What do you guys, Josiah, what do you think about making sure your structure in the back office is something that you can have control of? Because if you lose control of that, you've lost your business.
You need to have a core team around you. We've talked about that a few times.
Yeah.
About when you're running a business, owning the business, making sure that it's going to operate to its maximum efficiency, to surround yourself with a core team. And so, Coach, you're talking about your back office, right? Your back office core team, whether it's your trusted advisor, your executive coach, an exit factor or SEPA consultant, right? Your lawyer, right? And then having that team that you can collaborate with regarding management, your cash flow, the funds, your strategy, that's outside the people that are operating in the business as managers, right? Because listen, they're going to have good advice on things that you should do differently. But when it comes down to making those really big money decisions about where you're going to invest your funds and how you're going to invest those funds, they may not have the best insight, right? Because they're not looking at everything. They're just looking at what they're managing in the business. They don't necessarily see everything else that's going on. But your trusted core team is essential to being successful. And again, that includes your exit factor consultant, your business executive coach, and peers. If you have a peer group of owners that you can go to, an industry peer group, and key core individuals. And to go along with that, ChatGPT, man. Just get on ChatGPT. You can talk to ChatGPT and get all the free advice you want about what's going on in your business.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Maurice?
Maurice, I want to ask you this: when you set up your business, is it smart for small business owners? A lot of times wear a lot of different hats. We talk about that, but would it be smart to dig a little deeper and separate you from running that part of your business, that back office? You want to be on top of it. Obviously, that's the lifeblood of your business, account receivables. But is that a hat that, as an owner who's running a business day to day, do you have the time to put into that back office like you need to? Or is it more important to just make sure when you start your business, at least have a designated person back there?
I like to think of it as is a key pillar of the foundation of your company. And y'all kind of mentioned, like, having that board of advisors is needed. Like, when you start saying, okay, you're a small business, you're a middle business, or you're a public traded company, even the CEO of public traded companies have other advisors that they talk to run large organizations. The owner of Delta isn't running the whole company by himself. He has his people around him that specialize in what it is that they do, because he's focused on his main task at hand. So as a small business owner that is probably wearing multiple hats right now, they should be looking for their board of advisors, their power circle. I call it the campfire effect. The people that's sitting around your campfire that's actually having conversations with you on a regular about how to scale and grow your company. Because if you're in it on a day-to-day basis, you can't see from every single angle. Versus if I'm coming in once a week and I notice something that you just walking past on a regular, it really changed the perspective of your company overall. So that person that is not actually focusing on their back office, hire it out, or find somebody that is skilled enough to do it, or you sit down and dedicate time. That way you build a system around it. I like to put, like, even if you're starting your company from day one, write out all the roles and responsibilities of the job descriptions of each role it is.
I like that.
Even if you are taking it on, that you're doing it yourself in the beginning, but now you can pass it off to the next person.
Exactly.
Right then and there.
And there's a description. They know exactly what they're in charge to do.
Yep.
How you want it done. I love that. Put everything down in writing for people. so they can see it. Nadia and Floyd, I want to ask you guys this. I know for a lot of small business people, they're so excited. They come up with this idea, they activate this plan, and they go out and they just get just enough funding to open those doors. To me, that's a trap. Because any upstart business, new business, you're going to have some unforeseen issues that pop up. Things are just going to happen. Some unexpected costs. Is that a trap right there? Is that maybe one of the number one traps that small business owners run into, starting their business underfunded?
Oh man, that's probably 7% of small business owners start their business underfunded. That's why it's really important for CEOs and small business owners to really have a strategic plan. Because if you sit down and you do a strategic plan, not for how we're going to do things for the next 6 months, but how things are going to be done for the next 3 years, right? And then in that strategic plan needs to be a financial plan, and you need to have some good financial advisors to help you with that. It goes back to, I think Jim Collins wrote the book, Good to Great, and it's all about getting the right people on the bus at the beginning, right? And not have to fire people and restructure in the middle of scaling up. So that's really important, and it's part of leaders having long-term vision. Strategic planning is so critical. Most small business owners don't strategically plan. They just go from day to day, and we get some business and let's see how it works in the next 6 months. But you have to have this long-term thinking, right?
Yeah.
Nadia, I know one thing in business, and me and my partners talk about this all the time. If you don't make your employees feel comfortable, feel belong, feel engaged, feel connected, then guess what they're doing the other half of the day when they should be working? They're on their computer that you provide, looking for a side hustle or another job. How important is it when you put your team together, you bring your employees together, that everyone has a defined role, no one makes exactly as much as they want. I don't know if I ask every one of you guys how much you think you deserve to really make for what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could come up with a number, but as a business owner, you got to put a number, a compensation package on the table. I know when I was in Health Club, one of the things I did to lure better managers, everybody was paying kind of the same salaries, but what I did, I gave a car incentive. So I leased a car or a SUV or a truck, whatever he wanted, and everybody was like, wow, but they didn't understand. It was $435 a month to lease a nice truck. Now, my general manager loved it because all he had to do was put gas in it and pay the insurance. And I leased the truck, and he thought there was this huge thing, and I'm saying to myself, it's $435 a month. I got some shoes in my closet. I pay for that. So let's talk about making sure that you compensate or put together a package so that you can keep employees that you value.
And that was a good strategy that you did there with your employees. I mean, like you said,
Hey, I was more than a basketball coach. I tell people all the time, I went to practice every day, but I also went to class.
Yeah. No, but like being the type of business owner that someone would actually want to work for is value within itself too. Having those programs and incentivizing strategies that you put in place. I know even if you don't have the compensation package 100% like how someone want to get paid, it makes it worthwhile if you feel valued for the work that you do. So noticing your employees, making sure that their efforts and their work doesn't go for granted, those incentivized opportunities, little parties or whatever you can do for them. It all falls back. It's all for the greater good because they're working on this business that you've created. So if they're happy, that helps them put in more effort towards putting the business together and making it the way you want it to be. So it goes full circle. So it's just about honestly being a good person. It starts the trend, and then making that spill over into being a good leader, and I hate to use the word boss because, you do have to delegate and you have to make sure everyone is on top of their game. But if you're setting the example as the leader, I feel like if the person is a good fit, they'll follow suit naturally within that environment.
So let me ask the two of you guys. So you just were talking about being a natural leader and keeping your team engaged, right? So as a coach, and Floyd as also a coach in
Floyd's
business,
coach.
right? Different types of coaches, but both coaches. I've been in situations where I've had employees on staff, 50 or more employees, all at one time, probably even more than that at once. So as a leader of a large group, a basketball team, or a large organization, right? How do you effectively, as a leader, keep all of those key people engaged with you?
That's a good question.
Right?
Great question.
That was always a challenge for me, and I had some strategies that I put together from experience of how to stay engaged, right, with the key individuals. And how do you manage that? So I'm going to ask you, Coach, first. Like, what would you do as the head basketball coach of a basketball team to keep all those key contributors properly engaged?
Well, one thing I did, I took my experience from a player being on a team to a coach that built teams. I took that experience. And in basketball, we do a lot of team building, right? When we're on the road, if we have a day off, we go out to dinners together. We go to museums together. We do things kind of off the beaten path, right? To bring people together. We don't do the normal things. Like we may go to a movie together. We may go rent out a bowling alley. And we tried to do those things to bring people together. Second, as a coach, as a business owner, as a leader, I define everybody's role. Everybody in my organization, whether it's on my team, whether it's a coach, player, everybody has a defined role. The number one thing you don't want to do is walk into your business or your team and people start saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Really? Really? That means you're not being productive. That means I'm paying you to be unproductive. So everybody has a defined role. And then last but not least, accountability. Right? I put structure in place for people to hold people accountable. If you let people hold themselves accountable, you will never get anything done. Now, I put the accountability within reason, right? But my job as a coach, when I coach players and I deal with people, I see things, I'm supposed to be able to see things that you don't see. I'm supposed to see that potential in you that you don't really see. So when I'm on you or I'm pushing you, even in business a little bit, hey, you can give me 5 or 10% more. That's my job, because my job is to get something out of you that you don't even know you have. And so that was always the mindset. And I learned that from guys like Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Flip Saunders, Larry Brown, Bill Musselman. The guys was masters, because it wasn't necessarily about the X's and O's. It's how you deal with the Jimmys and the Joes.
Talk to them.
Yeah.
That's a great perspective. I love that. And my experience has been very similar in my business trajectory of being engaged with the team. I remember one time I took one of my managers to a movie just to spend some time with them so that we could connect socially and get to know each other better. And then I could see within him the things that I could draw out to push him a little bit forward, to be the best that he could be, right?
And was it successful?
It was extremely successful,
Okay.
And
You spend personal time.
Personal time.
When you spend time with people outside of work, you have to understand it. It's got to be outside of work. You can't be that guy that, okay, Floyd, every time you see me coming, it's something work related. Like, dude, I'm on my lunch break. I mean, you don't have it's a work relationship, but Floyd, talk about this. To get the most out of people, you played sports, you ran businesses. But to Josiah's point, to get the most out of people, especially those employees that you value, those employees that were key to your success, those people that kept them books in order and made sure them taxes were paid. Talk about some of the little things. And guys, it's not about coming in every day giving somebody a big bonus check. Those are nice, but it's also those little things. Hey, sometimes I would when I go visit my health clubs, I would stop and I'd bring 2-3 dozen donuts, box of donuts, and coffee for everybody. Just little things, something that cost me $50. But to my employees, they were like, wow, because you got to stop, you thinking about it. Or I would call in or text my office manager, hey, find out what everybody likes from Starbucks. And I would take the time to sit there, put those orders in, and bring it in. And those little things because everything ain't about how much.
Right. Yeah, to your point, there's something in organizational development called positive motivational theory. And it's really about what motivates an employee or a team member.
They love language.
But
you got to find they love language.
here's the thing: you can't motivate people. What you got to understand: you cannot motivate people. You can find out what motivates people.
Hold
a
on,
subtle
man,
difference.
hold on, I just learned something. Say it again,
You
Floyd.
can't motivate people. You have to find out, as a leader, you have to find out what motivates people.
And you know what, Floyd? That's so insightful because for so many years,
Yeah.
I've been in management almost 20 years, right? That's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because it's different for different types of people, and the
different.
motivation is different for different
different.
talent, different
different.
personalities,
different.
and identifying what
Yes.
that motivation is.
Yeah, it's just like what you said. So she was talking about there's two types of motivation. Extrinsic, that's when, when you're talking to an employee who's motivated by money, raises, okay, we can motivate that person. You got to understand that. You got to understand if that person is an extrinsic type of person
What
who
moves that
wants,
person.
wants accolades, want to be recognized. And then there's intrinsic motivation. That means that internally, I want to do a good job, right? I want you to think that I'm valuable, right? So we make a mistake as CEOs of our company to assume that everyone is motivated by money. Everyone's not. Some people are motivated by doing a good work, feeling great about what they do, having purposeful work. That's intrinsic motivation. And sometimes we put everyone in the same bucket, and we don't get that full engagement. The other piece of organizational development is really organizational job fit, and that's really about putting people in the right positions where they can excel. Don't put someone in a position that they struggle every day. Oh my gosh, I'm coming to work today. I don't know how to do this. I'm not good at what I'm doing. Why have them suffer for years in a job that doesn't fit them?
Yeah.
So what we got to do is find those jobs. We got to have organizational job fit. Put the person in the right position. If they're not, let's move them somewhere else, and let's find where their skills lie and where their superpowers are.
That's
Those are two
including
things.
the business owner themselves too. So not just the
including
employees,
them.
but the business owner themselves.
right.
too.
That's
Sometimes
right.
they're doing things they shouldn't be doing.
They shouldn't be
Somebody's
doing.
better at it than they are, right?
There's two sides of that. It's your job to be competent in the job, and it's my job as a business owner to make sure that you're in the right positions, right? It's a dual responsibility, and we can make that adjustment rather than just fire you. Let's find out where you best fit and where your skills lie.
It's very interesting, like, because this wasn't what we were talking about earlier, because we're talking about scale, right?
Yes.
Putting
But
the
it's part
right
of it.
infrastructure in place, but this is part of it.
It's
Like,
part of it.
it's
It's part of
100%
it.
part of making sure that you have the right people in the right jobs, doing the right things, and that
Yes.
the motivation is there to be successful.
Yes.
Because if the motivation is not there to be successful, what happens? Productivity goes away, right? And so if there's a huge influx of business coming in, and your workforce is not motivated, and they're not being efficient, and they're not operating to the best of their abilities, all of those things, it could set you up for not being able to be successful in that.
It's what you said, Maurice.
Yeah.
It's the definition of growth. I can grow as an organization and have 10 people and still be growing and still have 10 people. But I can be more efficient. I can be more profitable with 10 people. I didn't grow in numbers, but I grow in efficiency.
Yep.
We use more technology. We use AI. I'm growing in revenue, but I'm still at 10 people in my company. So it does relate.
So this reminds me, Nadia, of the like social media stuff about your bestie, right? Your work bestie. Right? Those corny
Bestie for
videos
the
where they're like
restie.
hanging out. It's like they're doing everything together or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, but that's what it reminds me of.
And guys, look, before we take a break, I know we got to pay some bills. I was online the other night. We was just doing a little prep work for the show, and I saw a video of an Italian couple talking about their business. And an American was interviewing them. And here in America, we get 2 weeks, and after you work so long, you get another week and whatever. And he was asking them, like, as business owners, man, your employees get 4 to 6 weeks. They get paid this. They got health care. They got all these things.
Yeah.
And the husband and wife was like, yes, they deserve it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the husband and wife, and he Gucci down, she Gucci down, and I'm saying to myself, they get it.
Yep.
Because what they're doing is, they're not trying to squeeze everybody. Because I'm looking at them, and they look well-fed, and I guarantee you, they're making a lot of money. And their whole thing is, our employees are more important than us. Yeah, we started the business. But we can't do everything in this business. If we don't keep them happy and motivated, then that means we're going to have to try to figure some of this stuff out. And we can't do it. And then it's going to cut into our bottom line, our profit. So their thing was, if we have to give our employees 6 weeks vacation, we do it. If there's bonuses and other little things, like we have a coffee machine, we bring in snacks, we do this. They even in their office, during your lunch break, they give you a 15 to 20 minute snooze break. Because sometimes you need that little short nap during the middle of the
I used to be
day.
hitting.
But my point is this, they figured out how to get the best out of their employees. And once they figured that out, they said their profits went through the roof.
You said this is an Italian couple?
Yeah, Italian couple in Italy. And this American was interviewing them because he was talking about, in America you get 2 weeks, you this, how hard it is. And I remember my first job.
Even maternity leave was hard.
Yeah.
Like
Think about it.
we got she got 3 months from her job for maternity leave. Her coworkers, they get the whole year. The whole year for maternity leave.
Yeah, man.
In Canada, the wife can get 3 to 4 months, and then after she go back to work, the husband can turn around.
Yeah.
And so to me, look, we understand different things, countries do things a little different, but the whole crux of this conversation is about how to get the most out of your business.
Yeah.
And if your employees are the lifeblood of your business, why do we do such a poor job of how we treat people?
And before we get to that break, I do want to talk about, because to go along with what you just said, the 4 intangible capitals that make up more than 80% of your company value when you go to sell. 2 of those intangible capitals are the people that work in your business and then the culture of your business.
That's right.
Those 2 out of 4 intangible capitals make up 80% of your company value. That's why this is so important.
Yes.
And Floyd and Coach, Nadia, Maurice, the other thing that I've noticed over the years, having managed lots of people for the last 20 years, is that the motivation is often different between the age groups, right?
Yeah.
There are different things that the different time frames of people want differently as part of their motivation. The baby boomers, they have a specific way of doing business, and they have different motivation than the Gen Xers, and the Gen Xers have different motivation than the millennials and Gen Z. So as a manager, when you're in a company and you have people from all of those different backgrounds, right? You, as a leader, you have to recognize those cultural differences and then work with each one of those groups on the things that motivate them to be successful, to get everybody together as a unit to get the business moving forward for that growth.
All right, guys, look, we got to take a break. We got to pay some bills. But when we get back, our next topic is going to be recognizing the trap. Having the ability to recognize the trap early before you go too far down that road. I had a friend of mine used to say all the time, no matter how far down you travel down the wrong road, it's never too late to turn back. I used to that always has stuck in my mind because I used to hear people say all the time, well, we done went so far down the road, we can't turn around. Really? So you just gonna just go on down the road till you just walk off the cliff. I don't know how far down that road I've been, but if it was a cliff at the end, I'm turning my butt around. Now, it may be a harder walk uphill. That walk going toward that cliff may have been down here. But trust me, at the bottom of that cliff, it ain't nothing good for me. So look, we're going to take a break. Right now, you're listening to Freedom to Exit. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell, joined by my colleagues from Exit Factor North. We'll be back after this break.
80% of businesses out there don't sell. 20% do. Be a part of that exclusive club. Don't allow things like death, divorce, disability, or disagreement to keep you from joining that exclusive club and getting 90% of your net worth in cash.
Hey guys, most people start their businesses because they have a vision for a lifestyle sometime in the future, to be able to have that business create that lifestyle for them so they can exit not on someone else's terms, but on their own terms. So you can do that now. I want you to go to our site, Plan That Exit, to do an assessment of what your business is worth. Because when we know what your valuation is, we can actually help you get that valuation even multiple times higher than what it is today.
Answer me this. Could you leave your business right now, turn off your phones, shut your laptops, not respond to any emails, phone calls, text messages, and it still be running like a well-oiled machine? If that's not you, then you need to visit our website, planthatexit.com. Like this video, subscribe, comment for more topics that you want to hear us talk about, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Freedom to Exit. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell, joined by my consultants, partners in crime from Exit Factor North here in Atlanta. And guys, we teased the audience a little bit when we went to break about recognizing the early traps. What are those, and I'll give you an example of some of those early traps. Declining profit margins despite revenue growth. Key people, burnout, high turnover. And then last but not least, inconsistent customer experience. Josiah, let's talk to you about the decline in profit margins. Even though you have revenue growth, but your profit margins are declining, talk about how do you recognize that trap? What systems you have to have in place to recognize that your business is trending toward that way, even though some of the other metrics of your business are looking okay?
Yeah, usually that's a sign of a lot of different things, but some of the key things that can impact that declining profitability usually is because of underlying operational or strategic weaknesses, right? That are not being managed correctly within the company, and a lot of those could be, like we talked about earlier, uncontrolled growth, not being on top of that growth and making sure that you're strategically executing for that growth and with a plan. The other thing could be inflation and pricing process lags, over reliance on key customers. I see that a lot where, I've don't have customer diversification. I'm reliant on 3 or 4 key accounts that make up a vast majority of my revenue, and that's a difficult situation to be in. Right? And that can lead to declining profitability, because if one of those key accounts has a down year, it brings your whole business down, right? And then product service drift. There's lots of different things that can cause that declining profitability. So again, putting yourself around that key core team of individuals to look at those things and have strategic plans in place to fight that battle at that level is important to combat that declining profitability, as well as lots of other things. One of the things you can do also is bring in an expert that is an expert in negotiating down your material costs, your shipping costs, making sure that you're staying on top of your cost of goods sold, as well as everything I just talked about, to fight that declining profitability in your business.
Maurice, I want to ask you, man, the lifeblood of any business are the customers. Talk about making sure the people that you service have the right customer experience, or when they have a problem, making sure you can address those issues, because no business is perfect. You're going to have things that go wrong. People understand that. But when things are not working right, it's how you deal with it and the face that you put on it. That's what's going to help retain and maintain that strong customer base.
Josiah kind of mentioned it earlier, and it's one of those intangible things, which is culture. Like, even you serving your clients, you serving your customers, that's part of your culture. So like how you're responding to them when something bad happens is just as important as how you respond to them on a daily basis as when they walk into the door. So think about back to your fitness centers. If a person came in there and they was greeted with hostility every single time, do you think they'll be coming back?
No.
Probably not. But if they're greeted as like, oh, hi, Mr. Smith, how are you doing today? Like, you already knew who they are, smiles. So like, even if you can't really give somebody that 5-star experience by luxury, giving them the 5-star experience by person to person, human to human, that goes a long way in every industry. So as a business owner, understanding that all your customers that come in are humans. You are human too. But treating it as like, okay, how can I make sure that this human is having the best experience possible when dealing with my company? And then how can I make sure that experience continues on? And the time that we mess up, How can I address it to make sure that we come
So
back
let me
around
ask you
to
that.
fix it?
When you mess up, when there's a screw up, because it's gonna happen. What kind of systems do you have in place? I know in the health club business, when people had a bad experience, and first thing they're gonna do is post a review. And when we go online and read those reviews, we had a general response. But then a lot of times, if we knew who that person was, if they were a member of the club or something, we would dive a little deeper, get their information, and we follow up with a phone call.
That goes to customer engagement in general. It's like going back to the gyms. Like if you see a person if you go to your system and every time that they log in, but this person hasn't logged in 2 months, are you just going to let them dwindle off? Or it's like, no, call them. Like literally after 2 weeks of someone not showing up, a business owner should be calling them if they're a gym. And hairstylists, it's like, okay, you get your hair done on a monthly basis. You've been coming to me for 7 months. 9 months come around, it's like, oh, what happened? So like customer engagement is important because you don't know what that person is going through. But going back to the human experience of it, you reaching out is like, hey, just checking on you, or having someone on your team, sending an email, sending a AI to call them, whatever it is. But customer engagement is very important because it lets that person feel like they are heard, seen, and understood.
Man, that's the key. I know in the health club business, a lot of times, man, when people were lacking and not coming, they just need a little motivation. And the fact that you would call them would blow their mind. The fact that, wow, first of all, I ain't been to the gym in 4 weeks. Hey, are you okay? We want to know, is there anything going on that we're not doing? Is there a certain machine that we don't have? What is going on that's keeping you from being your best? Because when you joined, you were so excited. We put together a plan for you. And people, a lot of times people just be tired. A lot of times they just lose interest. That New Year resolution. You sell all those memberships January the 1st, and by February the 1st, half of those people not coming in. The thing you have to understand, if people stop using something, they stop paying for it. They cancel those. And so I remember when I first got into business, our cancellations could be 20, 25%. After we put in certain strategies and things, man, they dropped all the way down to single digits. Now think about that.
That's a
We're
big difference.
able to retain our customers. Now that we're on that point, I want to ask you this. Key people in your business. How do you, and you know this, burning people out?
Oh yeah.
And high turnover. When you're constantly hiring and interviewing people for positions, do you have to kind of self-reflect and go back and look at your system and business and be like, or do you talk to people when they resign or they quit? Like, what is it about this, my company, my business, that kind of drove you away? And most owners don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
The thing that we did in the NBA, we always did, if we cut a guy didn't make our team, we always gave him an exit interview. Whenever I got cut as a player, I never forget this. My best friend, Mark Upshaw, told me, go in there and ask them why they cut you. I'm like, man, obviously I'm not good enough. No. You done got to this point, you're good enough. You need to find out what's that one or two things that you may be like, and I never thought about it because you get caught up in your feelings. And I never forget, guy that cut me in Houston, I go back in the office to Bill Fitch at the coach, and I sit down with him as coach. What happened, and he sat me down and talked to me and told me what it was. And even though I was hurt, the message he gave me resonated. And when I got home, and after a day or two, and I got over that my little hurt feelings, and I got in the gym, I started working on those one or two things that he told me I was lacking. And in a year and a half,
Made you a better person.
I was in the NBA. So again, you got to get past your feelings, even as a customer, or more so as an owner, because a lot of times as owner, we don't want to hear that. Floyd, talk about not wanting to hear, and then understanding that if you're constantly hiring people, you're burn. If you're constantly hiring people, that means you're doing something to burn them out too fast. And if you're constantly hiring, you can't be doing well in your business.
That's right. A couple parts to that. One thing that traditional businesses do, even small businesses, they have this whole standard process of annual review, quarterly review. And that quarterly review is going to tell you how you did and how you're doing, and give you give you this feedback about your performance. I don't think that's the right thing. There's something called the rhythm of meetings. The rhythm of meetings is really about having not just a quarterly meeting with your key people or annual meeting, but have a constant, regular meeting, maybe every 2 weeks, right? And it's about getting revolving constant feedback, not just give you feedback, but I want feedback from me. So it starts like this. Sam, I want to be the best leader I can for you, and I want to make sure that you have the best success you can have. What can I do
Wow.
to help you have that
Hey,
happen?
man, and I tell you what, you ask most people that work for you that question.
Yes.
First thing they do, they sit back in their chair.
That's right.
Second thing they do, it blows them away from the standpoint that you are opening yourself up
Yes.
for critique, right? And we know
Yes.
that none of us like critique, but that also tells them that you really care about them and you want them to go, hey, man, I
Yes.
want you to be the best you can be.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes.
Boy.
You said opening up. That's vulnerability. As a leader, we have to be vulnerable to ask
Wow.
for feedback.
See, I always thought leaders got to be strong.
No, yeah,
That you got to be
but
impervious.
that's part of being strong. I'm asking, what can I do to help you be the best success? What's going well, Sam? What do you think is going well? Listen to your employees. Most of the CEOs are too high up. They're not close enough to the work to really understand what's really going down under the surface. They're too high. So I need you as a leader to tell me what really is important, what is important to their team, what challenges are going on, because I'm so up here, thinking strategically high on a high level organizationally that I can't really relate to really what the issues are down here.
So how often would you suggest having these meetings with your employees? Because to your point, every 6 months or every year, you're not going to get to know anybody with that time. And again, I found that, man, look, and I know this sounds crazy, but when people like your butt a little bit, they actually work for you, right? I mean, seriously. Like people like, well, I'd rather have respect. No, that's great. I want people to respect me. But if I don't like you,
I ain't gonna be around.
man, I'm telling you, it's hard.
Yeah.
But if I think it's not just you love your boss, but if I respect my boss and I like him a little bit or like her a little bit, then you know what I'm saying? And it's because of all those things, they treat me a certain way.
Yeah.
Wow, it makes a difference.
Yeah, those conversations help with the co-creation of the work. I'm co-creating with you. I'm not dictating to you because you're the expert. You're the subject matter expert in this function. I need you to cascade your knowledge up to me as a leader.
Now, I actually, in my entire career, I had one boss that ever did that.
Wow.
In 20 plus years of being a professional in management, I had one boss, and he actually scheduled intentionally once a month for us to sit down for an uninterrupted hour. And his rules were, because we were both so busy, Coach, that our phones were always buzzing and beeping and ringing all the time because we were running like a global operation. His rule was turn your phone off. And that 1 hour with him was the only hour once a month where my phone was off.
Yeah.
And we would sit down and he asked me that question, Josiah, what can I do better for you? What can I do to be a better leader?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. In order for you to get to that place to have that honest conversation with him, it's because he has spent time with you, getting to know you.
Yes, and
that ain't, you just ain't gonna tell your boss the very first time, hey man, you doing this, you doing that, you get on my last damn nerve.
And he was an expert in that area of making that one-on-one connection with his employees to open that door up, right? And he did it lots of different ways. And it's established on trust.
Yes,
it's a leadership strategy that's established on trust.
Yes.
If I can trust you and you can trust me, then we can address anything that we need to talk about, right?
We call it a psychological safe space to be very transparent. And what you're really creating, and you talked about burnout. So what I want to do as a leader is to help my leaders, my frontline leaders, understand that we have that connection, and they can have that transparency with me. And then they can go and they can turn around and they can coach their team to give them more autonomy and freedom to make decisions. Because that's how you scale. That's what we're talking about, scaling, but you scale through people. So I want to take you as a leader, work with your leaders to help them to understand that they can turn around and they can delegate because they trust their team and they give the team more autonomy to make decisions on their own. I don't want to be making all the decisions, right? I need to be able to scale by allowing layers of people to make good decisions.
100%. And because that trust
Right.
relationship was built like that, where
Yeah.
we could talk about anything, coach,
Yeah.
anything for that hour,
Right.
and that trust was built up, what he was doing is he was empowering me
Yes.
to be able to make important decisions in the
Yes.
moment because I knew I was aligned with him.
That's right.
And it made us way more productive as an
Nobody's burned
organization,
out.
more cohesive, and nobody's burned out. And we like to have fun together.
Guys
we
that like
we
each
would go
other.
to the bars.
Yeah.
We'd go bar hopping. We'd
Yeah.
go out and listen to live music. We'd have a great time. It was probably one of the favorite times I've had.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's really
Yeah.
decentralized decision making.
Right.
I don't make all decisions. I rely on your expertise based on what you do every day to cascade best practices up to me.
Right.
We co-create success,
I-
and we drill that all the way down.
It was probably, and I learned so much from him that
Yeah.
I then took that
Yeah.
and incorporated into my own leadership style, and it made
Yes.
all the difference,
Yeah.
right?
And what
So-
happens when you do that? You create what he talked about: culture,
Culture.
the right culture.
Speaking of culture, I just kind of over-talked Maurice earlier, so I'd like to kick it back over to you.
I already forgot what I said, but I do have something that you were going on because it goes to just like teaching in general. And my mentor taught me this, so I want to establish it.
Yeah.
There's 4 stages of learning. You have the churning phase, which is basically teaching people to begin under control. So 0 to 4, they're obeying authority. So like, even when you start thinking about your employees, like day 1, they're 0 to 4 years old. They're fresh into your company. So you got to understand who's the authority there that's at the top of the food chain. From there, you have your teaching phase, which is reasoning. Reasoning with truth. This is 5, 6, 7, and 8. After that, you have your transitioning phase, which is relating to others. This is 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then after that, you have your trust phase, which is becoming responsible an adult. That's 13 plus. So going into like the reason I'm bringing this up now, because it still goes into our employees, the people, is like, it may be shorter, it's not going to be 13 years, but like week 1, this is the authority. This is how we talk to each other.
Right.
After that, this is the reasoning that we're having communications. Like, you're a human, I'm a human. So I want you to understand, like, I have faults, you have faults. How can we actually work to on this together and build each other up? After that, it's transition phase. Cool. Now, I need you to actually understand that I'm paying you so you can be the expert in your field. I don't know everything.
Right.
So I'm transitioning all the ropes over to you, but you still understand the authority.
Sure.
You still understand the relationship that we have. And then from there, it's trust. Now you're trusting that employee to actually do what it is they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So even as a kid, once my kid is 13, 14, whatever it is, I'm trusting him to go out into the road. Your employees are the same way. So I just bring that because it kind of like sparked my brain just now.
Nadia, I want to ask you this. We got owners and leaders who want to be the hero, Superman, Batman. They want to wear all the hats. They want to wear all the capes. They're bad at delegating. They think they got to do it all because they can do it better than everybody. They've hired all these people, but they're always dipping in somebody else's coffee, always in somebody else's business. Talk about why that's such a no-no and how that just creates so much dysfunction within a business because your employees are now feeling like, okay, there's no trust, there's no direction, that no matter what I do, it's never going to be good enough for the owner.
Right.
He could be too strict, be wound too tight. Talk about how that can hurt a business when the owner has good intentions and everybody understands this is his livelihood or her livelihood. They've got their money invested in this. But also, you got to trust the people or have a working relationship with the people that you bring in.
Yeah, no, for sure. That hero owner syndrome can be very detrimental, especially to where you want your business to go. And you got, as a business owner, you have to know how you want your business to look and how you want it to be structured. If you want to be super, super hands-on as a business owner, if you want to be clocking in 9 to 5 every day, 7 days a week maybe, or do you want to have a more relaxed position on it? You know, so it's first figuring out how you want to fit your life into that. And then I like what Maurice said earlier about like the 4 steps is treating it almost like your child, you know, just having different phases. I feel like obviously you can't get to that next phase without fully understanding the prior. You can't get to the latter without fully getting ready for the former. So like that, the trust stage. You can't get to that trust stage before the transform is what you're saying? Like,
It's
or transfer.
Transition.
Transition, sorry. The transitioning from, all right, I'm an expert at this, but you're the expert at that. So we have to have that parallel back and forth, to make sure that that is solidified, and then the trust can happen. But it's both parties, and a lot of owners sometimes don't want to relinquish that, for whatever reason. They don't have that trust built, obviously, because you can't have this without that, or just, I don't know, a bravado or whatever personal case that may be. But it's figuring out how you want to have your business run, how you want to be the owner within your business, and then how you see your business beyond you, which is why we're all here, to help business owners get an understanding of their business without after they want to exit and everything like that.
Well, we talk about an exit factor, working on your business and not in your business. I got a general question for all four of my experts. I guess myself five, somewhat of an expert, but this is my question. How do you know when growth is hurting and not helping the valuation? How do you know that? Anybody want to
listen, Coach, one of the things that we did a long time ago is like, man, we're running over $150 million in revenue. But if you take a look at our bottom line EBITDA, it was not that much. It was a small percentage. So we went through an activity where we would do an 80-20 rule, an 80-20 rule where you Pareto out where your revenue is coming from. So we would make a chart of, hey, these customers send us this much revenue, and these customers send us not very much revenue. But what we found by doing that 80-20 rule, Coach, is that the customers that we were spending a lot of time with were actually not providing us the most of our revenue and profit. So we readjusted our focus from the customers that are taking up a lot of our time and focus our attention on the customers that we're getting most of our revenue from and our profit from. Instead, we then were able to be more profitable in the bottom line, because we actually even fired some customers. Can you imagine doing that?
Wow.
Because they were costing us too much time, energy, effort, and money, and we weren't getting the return out of those clients. Not only did we fire some customers, we even fired some of our own internal brands from doing business with them because they were taking up too much of our time, too much of our energy and effort, and it was bringing our overall profitability down. So, even going through an 80-20 rule on your business and your customers and accounts, you could say, hey, these customers are actually not good to do business with. We're going to fire them.
Wow.
And refocus our time, energy, and attention on the customers that do.
That's good stuff.
Anybody else?
I would think that a sign of that is when you scale so fast that the quality is diminished.
Wow, that's true.
And
A
I
lot.
see
That happens a lot.
Oh my gosh! And
People trying to get it out there, so
I saw it
the product just not right.
Yeah, and you tarnish your brand, and then people start realizing, like, man, especially at restaurants, this doesn't taste the way it used to taste.
I do that all the
This is
time in
terrible.
restaurants.
This is awful. But but you're moving so fast, you're not even realizing that your brand has been diminished.
Yeah.
Because the quality is suffering because you're moving so fast.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes, leaves room for a lot of mistakes
yeah.
be made.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
lawsuits can pop up.
Yes,
I don't want none of that
that's-
stuff.
that's-
Yeah.
that's right.
Hair care products. I know there's like a lot of instances like that where
Yes.
something is overlooked, and then they use a
Yes.
chemical or
Right.
a chemical that negatively reacts with something else.
Everybody's
and
hair's falling out.
Now
right?
everyone's got cancer, so it's like you just gotta be
Yeah.
careful.
It reminds me of that movie The Jerk when he makes that thing on his glasses
good
and everybody
example.
goes cross-eyed.
Yeah.
He makes like millions of dollars and
Yeah.
he gets sued and loses everything in the end.
Exactly. Right.
Same situation, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys,
Scale
it's
too
time.
fast.
Time to pay some bills. But look, man, when we come back, this topic right here is really, man. When I read this, I can't wait to dive into this. Why systems create freedom?
Ooh.
Y'all
That's
know
easy.
on that for a minute. Why systems create freedom? We're gonna take a break. You're listening to the show, Freedom to Exit. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell, here with my consultants, friends from Exit Factor North here in Atlanta. We'll be right back after this short break.
80% of businesses out there don't sell. 20% do. Be part of that exclusive club. Don't allow things like death, divorce, disability, or disagreement to keep you from joining that exclusive club and getting 90% of your net worth in cash.
Hey guys, most people start their businesses because they have a vision for a lifestyle sometime in the future, to be able to have that business create that lifestyle for them so they can exit not on someone else's terms, but on their own terms. So you can do that now. I want you to go to our site, Plan That Exit, to do an assessment of what your business is worth. Because when we know what your valuation is, we can actually help you get that valuation even multiple times higher than what it is today.
Answer me this. Could you leave your business right now, turn off your phones, shut your laptops, not respond to any emails, phone calls, text messages, and it still be running like a well-oiled machine? If that's not you, then you need to visit our website, planthatexit.com. Like this video, subscribe, comment for more topics that you want to hear us talk about, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Welcome back to the show, Freedom to Exit. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell, here with my consultants from Exit Factor North. Our last topic, and this is a doozy. I'm looking forward to this one. And we teased it before we went into break. Why systems create freedom and how the lack of them trap owners. Now think about that, guys. We talk about here the Exit Factor, the thing that we're so proud of with our company and what we do. We have systems, and we constantly talk to our people about creating a system, our owners, when we consult with them. What's your system? What it look like? When you wake up every morning, that should be like your Bible, your go-to.
Yeah.
I'll start with you, Josiah.
Yeah,
Why
so-
are systems
so listen,
so important in business?
I was running a business one time, and I was pretty high up in the organization where we had 2 different manufacturing softwares to run the plants and keep track of inventory. Nobody knew what the material costs were. We had a total of, I think, almost 30 different systems. I was probably lower than that, but it was close to like 20 at least, where there was a different software system within the entire process from start to finish when the product would ship out the door. And none of the systems would talk to each other. So we were actually managing all of those software systems with different departments within the company to do a part of the process to get that order from start all the way to manufacturing. And it became a crisis at one point because one of the key fundamental softwares we were using that ran the whole database, the company that we bought that from went out of business. And so our IT department, our software engineers, hacked it to unlock the license so we could continue to operate the business with that software because it was so fundamental to the operation from start to finish, all those 20 softwares. And if that company had made the investment to fix all of those things, it would have skyrocketed the profitability and efficiency of the company. So, that's one of the reasons why software systems are so important, because instead of tying up all of those people through all those different softwares and processes and procedures, you can clean all that up, makes you more efficient, more productive, and makes your profitability go up. So that's what I would say, Coach.
Floyd, let me ask you this. In business, same as sports, defining role to be able to hold people accountable. You can't hold people accountable if they don't know what the heck they're supposed to be doing. Right. You can't hold people accountable if you don't give them tasks in a certain time to finish those things. Right. Talk about the accountability and putting people in the right structure to where they can thrive and grow.
Yeah, that is a system. That's a system, putting people in the right places. There's a book called Organizational Physics that talks about putting people in the right place and having that become a system, because systems make things predictable, right? If you have systems, that's what they do. It makes things predictable. Systems create data, and we can look at the data, and the data can drive our decision making, because that's really what it's about, making great decisions, not because of our emotions, but because of data.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I like to think of systems as the acronym Save Yourself Time, Energy, Money, and Stress.
Yeah, I agree with that, for sure. That's
what a system is. And I challenge people, like, there's a movie called The Matrix. I'm almost certain everybody's seen it by now. But there's a clip in The Matrix that I start off all of my presentations with. And it's when Neo is talking to Morpheus and they get distracted by the woman in the red dress.
I remember that.
And he literally talks on system. Morpheus tells Neo, it's like, Neo, some people will fight for the limitations. Some people will fight to stay inside the system that they're in. But the system, if you're not the creator of it, if you're not the creator of the system, it's your enemy. I treat every business conversation I'm doing is like, yo, start building out your system, because everything we do is a system. Our government is a system, our school system, our tax system, our health system. If you're not the creator of it and you don't own it, it's not truly benefiting you. Sure, you may get some layaway off from it, but it's not truly in mind of thinking, like, okay, how is this system benefiting you? It's like, no, you have to create your own system, and that system now saves yourself time, energy, money, and stress. By building out that system to now build predictability in your company, where now you can actually start, okay, when I put $100 in, I get $300 back. And I did this multiple times and it works efficiently. Cool, let's try to do $1,000 then. Because now you got the data, you got the system, you got the infrastructure behind it, you got that foundation built enough. Like, just go back to cars too. Like, cars started getting real efficient when they made conveyor belts, but conveyor belts was a system for each component of the car to be made and put onto this whole totality of the car at this individual stage.
Nadia, I want to close this topic out with this question for you, and if anybody after Nadia talks want to chime in, please do. Some of the common mistakes that owners make is poor delegation, bad hires, and then overexpansion. They expand too fast. They want to grow. Talk about those things, and why as an owner it's important that you have to check yourself that you're not, one, that you got to have a system in place to hire the right people. Mm-hmm. Two, you got to have a system in place that makes sure that when it's time for you to grow, that you're actually ready to grow. Talk about those things, and then anybody after now finish want to chime in on this last topic.
Yeah, I definitely can speak on the making sure you're hiring appropriately, because this obviously is going to alleviate so much stress off of you. As everyone mentioned, systems, and I love that acronym, Maurice, saving yourself time, energy, money, stress, all that stuff you don't want to deal with. So if you have an appropriate system in place for hiring, that helps your business move more like a well-oiled machine. I know specifically my mom, she owns her own business, and she is going through it with her employees. Granted, some of them are her family members, so that
make it worse.
Poses, challenges within itself. But yeah, so if she just probably would have went through having a better system and maybe even vetting them better. But how do you sit down at a table and vet your cousin?
You know your cousin.
You already know.
I knew my cousin from this high. It's about 10 of them. I wouldn't think about hiring.
Right. You can groom them to be a great employee and worker for whatever job that you have for them. But overall, is it a good fit? Not that he's your family member, not that you have that nepotism, but is it a good fit? So having that system in place to make sure you're really and truly getting to know these people that are going to help your business move forward in the right direction, that could save you so much stress. And I'm talking to my mom too right now when I say that. And then if someone wants to speak on the expansion portion that Sam mentioned, or not.
No, I think for me, I know when I was in the health club business, at one point I had 7 health clubs. And the thing that the most important thing that was for me is that I saw this too many times where one business was robbing Peter to pay Paul. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I did that early on when I opened my 3rd club, man, 2 of them was rocking and rolling, 1 of them was kind of struggling. I took money from one to prop up the other, and the next thing you know, I got 2 clubs. And what I learned is, if each entity can't survive on its own, you cut it out.
Facts.
You drop it.
Facts.
And so when I put that system in place, when I sat down with my employees in the club that was struggling, I just laid it on the line. I'm looking to grow and expand. But right now, my other 2 clubs are doing well. This one is struggling. If we can't meet certain expectations or certain markers, then we're going to have to shut this thing down, because I'm not going to keep making the mistake of robbing Peter to pay Paul, because now I got 2 businesses failing instead of 1. And so that was the number one. And when I made that statement and went in there, because to my biggest problem, I wasn't spending enough time in the business.
Right.
When I went down there, flew in and spent a week in there, and people saw me there, man, the numbers just started doing this. And what I realized, I didn't have a correct system in place like I did in my other 2 clubs, Because I just thought, I got two, we open the third, it'll just run itself.
That foundation wasn't strong enough.
There
yeah.
you go. It
So,
wasn't strong enough.
It goes back to what Floyd mentioned earlier, like that strategic plan, that business plan of how you're building your business, that is your foundation. Like that is what you're basing it off of. So all these big ass towers right behind us, just as high as they had to go up is how far down they had to go. But some people, they'll go 1 foot down. It's like, all right, we're going to keep building. We're going to keep building. We're going to keep building. We got another location. But that foundation never got fixed. So once they're building, one little windstorm is going to knock them right over. So like going back to understanding what your business plan is, what that strategic plan is, what that foundation is actually standing on is detrimental to either scaling your business or collapsing your business.
Man, that's so right on. Listen, we got to go now. Look, people, hope you enjoyed this segment right here from Freedom to Exit, talking about the traps of your business, growth without structure, why systems are so important to be in place for your business to operate and be profitable.
Oh, one more thing. Wait, sorry. This is
That's
in my head
okay.
now. Everything in life is growing. Everything. And if it's not growing, it's slowly dying. Your business, your health, you, plants, trees, everything. So if your business is not growing, it is slowly dying. But look around everything else that's around you. You're probably listening to this in the car. Start looking at everything that's not actually growing, and I bet you can see how it's slowly dying. Then reflect that back to your company.
Man, that's so true. When I go home, I want to look at all the businesses and all these buildings that's sitting there by the table. You're right. It's true. When those businesses stop growing, they slowly start dying. And at a certain point, once you go down that road and start dying, now that's that road it's hard to turn back from. Listen, that's what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen. We here at the Exit Factor North in Atlanta, Georgia. That's what we specialize in. First of all, we're going to help you set your business up, and we're going to create an exit strategy from the day you start. The day you start your business is the day you're supposed to have an exit strategy. Because if you don't, when the time comes to exit that business, and you are going to exit either on your back or out that door, or you just going to get frustrated like some of us have done up here before and just close the door. You are going to exit. Don't do that. Come see us here, Exit Factor North here in Atlanta, Georgia. President of our company, Josiah Wiley. Come see us. We can help you put together a strategic plan for growth, for your profits to increase, and when that time comes to exit with a pocket or a bag full of money and give that business the opportunity for the next entrepreneur to continue to grow. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with more of the Exit Factor.
Bye.
80% of businesses out there don't sell. 20% do. Be a part of that exclusive club. Don't allow things like death, divorce, disability, or disagreement to keep you from joining that exclusive club and getting 90% of your net worth in cash.
Hey guys, most people start their businesses because they have a vision for a lifestyle sometime in the future, to be able to have that business create that lifestyle for them so they can exit not on someone else's terms, but on their own terms. So you can do that now. I want you to go to our site, Plan That Exit, to do an assessment of what your business is worth. Because when we know what your valuation is, we can actually help you get that valuation even multiple times higher than what it is today.
Answer me this. Could you leave your business right now, turn off your phones, shut your laptops, not respond to any emails, phone calls, text messages, and it still be running like a well-oiled machine? If that's not you, then you need to visit our website, planthatexit.com. Like this video, subscribe, comment for more topics that you want to hear us talk about, and we'll see you guys in the next video.